Talking about Toyota. And I don't mean some special edition platinum covered diamond and than a You ever hear about a Toyota selling for more than a Ferrari? Yeah, I'm talking about Toyota. And I don't mean some special edition platinum covered diamond encrusted Prius either. We're talking about a Toyota 2000 GT, one that sold for a jaw-dropping $2.5 million at auction. Yeah, million with an M. You could buy a fleet of cars for that, or a house, or like 2 houses depending on where you live. But wait, let's rewind for a second. I know you're thinking, a Toyota? Worth millions? Why? Stick around, because by the end of this video, not only will you get why this thing is a certified legend, but you might even find yourself low-key wishing you could park one in your driveway, just as a flex, you know? Alright, let's start with the basics. This isn't your everyday Camry we're talking about here. This is the 1967 Toyota 2000 GT, a car so rare, so ahead of its time, it made collectors sweat. There were only 351 of these bad boys ever made. That's rarer than your cousin showing up to a family reunion on time. Toyota wasn't even known for making sports cars back then. They were making practical, affordable cars. Think reliable, not Ferrari rival. But then they dropped this bomb on the world, like, hey Europe, hold my sake, we got something for you. The 2000 GT was Japan's shot at the big leagues, targeting Porsche, Jaguar, and all the sports car royalty. This car had style. Picture this: sleek, curvy lines, a long hood that just screams speed, and headlights that pop up like they're winking at you when you hit the gas. It was designed in collaboration with Yamaha. Yep, the people who make bikes and guitars, but they were helping with car magic too. And under the hood, a 2.0-liter inline-6 engine. In the 60s, that meant you were flying. Let's get into the numbers. This car could hit 135 miles per hour. Not bad for something from an era where the idea of safety meant wearing a seatbelt sometimes. It had independent suspension, disc brakes all around, stuff that made it drive like a dream. In fact, people who've driven it say it feels more like a European supercar than anything else from that time. Toyota wasn't playing with this one. Now, where things really get crazy is the price. These days, a 2000 GT can sell for upwards of $2.5 million. Why so much? Well, it's all about that rarity. Only 351 of these cars were ever made, and far fewer are still around in good condition. Plus, let's not forget it was a Bond car. That's right, James freaking Bond drove one in You Only Live Twice, and in Japan no less. If that doesn't make it legendary, I don't know what does. Imagine being at an auction and seeing one of these roll in. The crowd goes silent, jaws drop, the bidding starts. It's probably the only time you'll see a Toyota go for more than a Lamborghini. And this isn't just hype. People drop serious money on these, not just because they're rare, but because they know they're owning a piece of automotive history. But what makes the 2000 GT so valuable isn't just the low production numbers or the Bond cameo. It's what the car represented. This was Japan showing the world they could hang with the likes of Ferrari and Porsche. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement. And that kind of ambition has value, especially when you've got collectors looking for more than just a shiny toy. They want a story. Speaking of stories, the 2000 GT came at a time when Toyota wasn't really known for making flashy cars. They were the practical car company, reliable, affordable, and built to last. You wouldn't expect them to come out swinging with something that could rival European sports cars. But here they were, proving that Japanese engineering could hold its own on the global stage. It's kind of like showing up at a party in a tuxedo while everyone else is in jeans. No one expected it, but you're definitely getting noticed. That's what the 2000 GT did. Now, let's talk about why this car isn't just rare. It's practically a unicorn. Only a handful of these cars have survived the years in pristine condition. And that's where the auction house fever kicks in. Every time one of these comes up for sale, you've got rich collectors battling it out, wallets flying. One went for $1.2 million a while back, and then that record was shattered when another hit $2.5 million. That's enough to make you rethink every car you've ever bought, right? But it's not just rich collectors that give this car its mystique. It's the fact that the 2000 GT is still respected in the car world today. You mention it at any car meet, and the OGs will give you the nod of approval like, yeah, you know what's up. It's a symbol of when Toyota flipped the script, when they weren't just building for reliability, they were building something to challenge the best in the world. And that right there is why this Toyota 2000 GT will forever be a legend. It's not just a car, it's a piece of history, a testament to ambition, and a bold move from a company that wasn't afraid to take a risk. But hey, before you run off and try to bid on the next one, let's talk reality. There's a reason only the top 1% of collectors are throwing millions at these things. For most of us, this is strictly dream car territory. But that doesn't mean we can't appreciate the art, the legacy, and the story behind it. Now, if you've stuck with me this far, then I know you've got a real passion for cars. And that's why you need to do two things. Smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Why? Because you and I both know this isn't your average car channel. We're not just talking specs, we're talking stories, legends, and everything in between. If you're hungry for more deep dives like this, or you just want to stay ahead of the curve with the latest in car culture, you're in the right spot. So go ahead, subscribe, and stick around. We've got a lot more to explore. You don't want to miss what's coming next. The V8 engine. In a world that's going all electric and hybrid, the V8 is still out here holding its ground. But how? Let's break it down. First, let's go back to the 1930s. When Ford rolled out the flathead V8, it changed the game forever. Before then, engines were either too big, too slow, or too expensive. But Ford made power affordable. The V8 wasn't just an engine, it was a symbol of freedom. You were no longer just driving, you were owning the road. From then on, the V8 became synonymous with American culture. It wasn't just about horsepower, it was about that feeling you get when the engine growls beneath you. That V8 rumble? Man, that's something you can't replicate. And that's exactly what's kept the V8 alive all these years. All right, let's jump to the 1960s and 70s. The golden age of muscle cars. This is where the V8 really flexed its muscles. We had the Chevy Camaro, the Ford Mustang, the Dodge Charger, all packing V8s that tore up the streets. These weren't just cars, they were machines of rebellion, power, and pride. What made these engines so special? Well, it was all about torque. You'd hit the gas and boom, you're pressed back into your seat. V8 engines in these muscle cars delivered instant, raw power, and that's something that still hits different today. It wasn't just speed, it was about how the engine made you feel. Every rev was like a heartbeat for the American car scene. And it wasn't just about performance, it was about sound. That deep, rumbling growl is iconic. No other engine sounds quite like a V8. In fact, car enthusiasts say, if you can't hear it, are you really driving? The V8 growl makes sure everyone knows you're around. Fast forward to today, and the V8 is still in the spotlight. Just look at the Dodge Hellcat or the Mustang GT. These cars pack 700 plus horsepower. But here's the kicker. Today's V8s aren't just about brute strength anymore. They've evolved. Modern V8s are smarter. Many of them come with cylinder deactivation technology. What's that? Basically, when you're cruising and don't need all that power, the engine can shut down half its cylinders to save fuel. That's right. V8 engines today balance power with efficiency. You're still getting all that torque when you want it, but you're not burning fuel like crazy when you don't need it. For example, take the Chevy Silverado and Ford F-150 trucks. These bad boys still use V8s to deliver towing power and performance, but they're also fitted with technologies that make them more fuel efficient than ever before. So, anyone telling you that V8s are outdated because of gas guzzling? Yeah, they're stuck in the past. All right, we've all heard it. The future is electric. And hey, electric cars are fast. We've got Teslas out here beating muscle cars off the line. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt that visceral feeling in an EV? Yeah, electric motors can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, but they do it silently. Where's the fun in that? You're not getting that deep, roaring growl from a battery. The V8, that thing screams power, and it's all about the experience. Every time you hit the gas, you feel like you're commanding a force of nature. You can't replicate that. Electric cars are cool, don't get me wrong, but there's something about that primal roar that makes the V8 the king of engines. You can hear it from blocks away. It's loud, proud, and unapologetic. And that's why enthusiasts aren't ready to give it up just yet. Let's talk about legacy. The V8 isn't just a powerful engine, it's a cultural icon. Think about the Ford Mustang, the Chevy Corvette, and the Dodge Challenger. These cars have been around for decades, and every single one of them owes its reputation to the V8. These engines gave birth to the American muscle car culture. It wasn't just about speed, it was about attitude. The V8 was the heartbeat of the muscle car era. And even today, the legacy lives on. Take the Chevy LS and Ford Coyote V8 engines. These things have powered everything from street racers to dragsters. The V8 isn't just a relic of the past, it's the engine that's still pushing boundaries today. Car shows, street races, drag strips, you'll still hear the roar of V8s dominating the scene. But let's not forget, the V8 isn't just for muscle cars. Trucks and SUVs have relied on the V8 for years to get things done. Think about the Chevy Silverado or the Ram 1500. These trucks depend on the V8's torque for towing and hauling heavy loads. Sure, there are V6 options now, but when it comes to pulling a trailer or plowing through mud, the V8 remains king. Here's why. Torque. The V8 delivers that low-end grunt that makes towing easy. Plus, trucks like the Ford F-150 and Chevy Tahoe still offer V8 engines because they're tough, reliable, and can handle the heavy lifting. And with today's technology, these engines are more fuel efficient than ever before, which means you can get the job done without emptying your wallet at the gas station. If you're a gearhead, you already know. The V8 is a canvas for creativity. You can do so much with it. From adding a supercharger to tuning the exhaust, the V8 is perfect for modification. You want more horsepower? Done. You want a louder exhaust? Easy. The V8 can be customized in so many ways, which is why it's still the favorite among car enthusiasts. Working on a V8 engine is almost a rite of passage for car enthusiasts. Whether it's building a hot rod or swapping out parts for better performance, the V8 is the engine you want under the hood when you're ready to take your car to the next level. Now let's get real. The future of cars is changing and even the V8 is evolving. Enter the hybrid V8. Imagine cruising down the street using electric power, saving fuel, and then, wham, you switch to full V8 power. That's what we're talking about with hybrid V8s. It's like having the best of both worlds. Car companies are starting to experiment with this concept, and it's exciting. You don't have to sacrifice that V8 sound or power, but you also get the benefits of electric technology. This isn't just speculation, it's the future. Imagine a world where you can hit the gas and hear all 8 cylinders roar while still being eco-friendly. That's what's coming, and I'm here for it. Let's address the elephant in the room. Is the V8 dying? While some automakers are moving away from V8 ES, there's no denying that the V8 is far from dead. Manufacturers like Ford, Dodge, and Chevrolet are still offering V8 engines in their top models. Whether it's the Mustang GT, the Chevy Camaro, or the Dodge Charger Hellcat, these cars are keeping the V8 legacy alive. And with hybrid V8s on the horizon, the V8 isn't just sticking around. It's evolving. The king isn't ready to give up the throne just yet. All right, we've covered a lot today. We talked about the history, the tech, the culture, and the future of the V8 engine. From the Ford Flathead to the Dodge Hellcat, the V8 has been, and always will be, the heartbeat of American power. Now, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite V8-powered car? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm reading all of them. And before you go, you know what to finish what you're doing. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like if you're loving the content, and ring the bell so you don't miss any future uploads. We've got more car culture, engine deep dives, and horsepower coming your way. And the street, and you can't help but stare. It's sleek, futuristic, and sounds like it's ready to take over the streets. Is this a dream? Well, today we're diving into that dream. What if Mitsubishi brought back the legendary 3000 GT? We're going to keep it real and talk about what this car could be like if it came back into production. Let's get into it. Now, we all know the 3000 GT from the 90s. It was ahead of its time. All-wheel drive, twin turbos, active aero, it had everything. So if Mitsubishi were to bring it back, they'd have to honor that legacy while updating it for the future. But here's the thing. The 3000 GT isn't just about nostalgia. It's about being a performance beast for today's drivers. All right, let's keep it real. If the 2025 3000 GT comes back, we're looking at a 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6 under the hood. Nothing too wild, but still packing a punch with about 500 horsepower. That puts it right in the sweet spot, competitive with the likes of the Nissan Z and the Toyota Supra. And of course, all-wheel drive is a must. Pair that with either a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic, and you've got a serious driver's car. Now, here's where things get exciting. We're talking about a car that can hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4 seconds flat. Fast enough to give you a thrill, but realistic for the kind of car the 3000 GT would be today. Adaptive suspension would make sure it's smooth on the highway, but stiffens up when you're taking those corners. And let's not forget Active Aero, adjustable spoilers that help keep the car glued to the road when you need it most. Let's talk design. The 2025 3000 GT would keep its sleek, wide stance, but with sharper, more aggressive lines to fit modern aesthetics. LED headlights would give it that futuristic touch, and of course, we'd keep the signature wide front grille. The body, made from a mix of aluminum and carbon fiber to keep things light but strong. And those dual exhausts? Yeah, they're still there, giving that V6 engine the growl it deserves. Now, inside is where things get modern. The cockpit would have a fully customizable digital instrument cluster and a 12-inch touchscreen infotainment system. Of course, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and voice control would be standard. But the focus here would be on keeping it a driver's car. Minimal distractions, everything you need and nothing you don't. You'd get leather sport seats, Alcantara accents, and a steering wheel that feels just right in your hands. But that's not all. It'd be loaded with tech like augmented reality heads-up display and self-adjusting suspension. You're cruising, and the car adapts to the road beneath you. Safety features like adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, and collision avoidance would keep things smart, but this car's for the driver, not the autopilot. Now, let's talk price. The 2025 Mitsubishi 3000 GT would come in at around $60,000 for the base model, putting it right in line with other sports cars. But if you want the fully loaded version, with all the carbon fiber, extra tech, and performance upgrades, you're looking at around $80,000. That's still a solid price for a car that brings both power and modern luxury. And that's the thing. The 3000 GT isn't just a car. It's part of Mitsubishi's legacy. The 2025 version would bring the performance and style the original was known for, but with a modern twist that fits today's market. It's a car that honors the past but pushes into the future. So what do you think? Could Mitsubishi really bring the 3000 GT back? If they did, you know it'd be a game changer. Whether it happens or not, it's fun to imagine what it'd be like if this beast hit the streets again. If you're feeling the 3000 GT vibes, engine that turns heads, rattles windows, and leaves nothing but dust in the rearview mirror. Now picture this. The legend, the Pontiac GTO, is back. Well, sorta. I'm about to take you on a wild ride through what could be if Pontiac decided to rise from the ashes with the 2025 GTO. I know what you're thinking. Didn't Pontiac shut down? Yep, Pontiac was discontinued in 2010, but let's indulge in a little fantasy, shall we? Because if the GTO came back, it'd be an absolute beast. Now, you can't talk muscle cars without paying homage to the GTO's roots. Let's rewind to 1964, when Pontiac dropped the GTO and changed the game forever. By 1969, it was a full-blown muscle car icon, with those famous dual hood scoops and an aggressive stance. So if Pontiac decided to bring it back, they'd have to go big. I'm talking 700 horsepower big. Just imagine a 6.2-liter V8 growling under the hood. That's enough power to make the pavement cry uncle. Now, of course, this is all hypothetical, but let's dream a little. Picture the 2025 GTO packing that V8, maybe even with a hybrid twist. Hybrid technology is changing the game, with cars like the Ferrari SF90 making use of electric torque to give you instant power. So if Pontiac went for a hybrid GTO, it'd still have that rumble you crave, but with an extra zap that could leave competitors in the dust. Let's talk about looks. If Pontiac were to resurrect the GTO, they'd take inspiration from the 1969 model. You've got to keep those classic GTO vibes, the dual hood scoops, the wide, aggressive stance, but with a modern twist. LED headlights, a more aerodynamic body, and 20-inch forged alloy wheels would give it that perfect balance of retro and future forward. You walk up to this car, and it'd scream muscle, but with 2025 level swag. Now, if you're wondering how fast this bad boy would go, let's speculate. 0 to 60 in around 3.2 seconds. I mean, if cars like the Mustang Shelby GT500 are doing it, why wouldn't the GTO? This thing would be built to fly, no question. Again, this is all speculation, but with modern muscle cars hitting these speeds, it wouldn't be too far-fetched. The inside, oh, it'd be sweet. Think fully digital displays, AI-driven infotainment, and voice controls that actually work. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, standard of course. Pontiac wouldn't throw together some retro dials and call it a day. They'd make sure you're cruising in a futuristic cockpit. And don't even get me started on the suspension. Adaptive suspension would be a must, adjusting based on how you're driving. Hit the gas and it'd tighten up like a race car. It'd be like the GTO had two personalities, chill cruising and full-on savage. And trust me, you'd want to unlock that savage mode every chance you get. Let's talk about price. This is all speculation, but let's keep it real. If Pontiac brought this beast back, the starting price would be around $70K. I mean, for what you're getting, power, tech, legacy, it'd be a steal. Fully loaded, maybe you're looking at $90K, but it'd be worth every penny. The GTO wouldn't just be a car, it'd be an experience. Now, if we're really going to daydream, let's imagine a track-only version of this GTO. Stripped down, maxed out, and ready to rip up the circuit. This isn't happening yet, but just imagine the GTO reborn as a pure track machine, a car that lives and breathes speed. Sounds good, right? So there you have it, the 2025 Pontiac GTO, at least how we imagine it. If Pontiac ever decides to bring back this legend, you know it's gonna be epic. Cozy in your ride when suddenly, bam, your car stalls. The temperature's dropping, your battery's dead, and that toasty heater, yeah, not working anymore. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're giving you the ultimate winter car care guide so you don't end up stuck in a snow globe from hell. Welcome back to Cartoons, your home for all things automotive, where we keep you on the road and out of trouble. And trust me, this episode's gonna save your butt when Jack Frost comes knocking. We've got everything from battery basics to emergency kits, all with that signature Cartoons twist. So don't touch that skip button, because if you do, your car might hold it against you. I'm serious. Cars have memories, let's go. Let's kick things off with the MVP of winter survival, the battery. You know how your phone dies faster in the cold? Yeah, your car battery's the same way, but way more dramatic about it. 1 minute it's good, next it's, sorry, I'm out. So here's what you do. Check if it's fully charged. Look at the terminals, they should be clean. Dirty terminals can suck the life right out of that battery like a bad ex. And if your battery's more than 3 years old, it's probably time to replace it before winter gives it the cold shoulder. Oh, and quick tip, keep jumper cables in your trunk. Because if you end up needing a jump start, you don't want to be that guy begging in a parking lot like it's a scene out of a drama series. Speaking of drama, let's talk tires. Don't skip this part, I promise it's not boring. Your tires are literally the only thing between you and an icy slide into a ditch, so grab a penny. Yeah, the one hiding in your cup holder. Flip it upside down and check that tread. If Lincoln's head is showing, you're driving on baldies, my friend. Get those changed ASAP. And if you're living in Snow City, switch to winter tires. Sure, they're a little pricey, but they grip the road like they're clinging to their ex's Netflix account. Seriously though, proper tire pressure is a game changer in winter. Cold air makes the pressure drop faster than your cousin's mixtape, so check it often. Get yourself a tire gauge. It's like $10 and it could save you from spinning out on a frosty morning. Now, fluids. It's not the glamorous part, but it's crucial, so stick with me. Think of your car like a high-maintenance friend. It needs the right drinks to function properly. Winter-grade oil, topped-up antifreeze, and windshield washer fluid rated for freezing temps. The last thing you want is your windshield fluid freezing up mid-splash, turning your drive into a guess-and-go adventure. Make sure you grab the blue stuff, not the regular. You need the kind that won't turn into an ice rink on your windshield. Trust me, I made that mistake once, and my wipers had a bad day. And you know what they say? A bad day for the wipers is a bad day for you. Now let's talk about your car's version of cozy, the heater and defroster. Look, there's nothing worse than a heater that decides to give up on the first cold day, turning your ride into a mobile freezer. Test it now, not when it's -10 outside and your breath is fogging up the windows like a bad horror movie. Make sure that defroster's doing its thing too, because clear visibility is non-negotiable. Nobody likes driving blindfolded, unless you're in one of those trust exercises. Seriously, get that heater working. Nobody wants to look like they're starring in their own winter survival docudrama while waiting for the tow truck. And here's where you go full-on Boy Scout. An emergency kit can turn a bad day into just a mildly inconvenient one. Blanket, flashlight, extra batteries, jumper cables, protein bars, and a first aid kit. Think of it as your winter survival starter pack. And throw in some kitty litter. No, not for a car cat. But it's a lifesaver for traction if you get stuck. Plus, you get to play hero to yourself if you get stuck. because who wouldn't want to save the day? For themselves. And pro tip, throw a charger in there too. If your phone dies, you won't even have a chance to make that dramatic "I'm stuck in the snow" Instagram story. That's a wrap on the winter car care essentials. And listen, you take care of your car and it'll take care of you. Pedal, and you're wondering why. Well, today I've got 10 reasons your ride might be vibrating, and more importantly, how to fix it. Let's dive in. 1. Unbalanced tires or bent wheels. Let's start with the basics. If you're feeling a shake at higher speeds like 60 or 70 miles per hour, it's probably your tires. When tires aren't balanced, the uneven distribution causes vibrations that get worse as you go faster. Even a small imbalance, like as little as an ounce, can cause noticeable shaking. Bent wheels, usually from hitting a curb or a pothole, can make this problem worse. The fix? Get your wheels balanced at a tire shop. They'll use a special machine to make sure weight is evenly distributed. And if you've got a bent wheel, you might need it straightened or replaced. It's quick, and it can save you a lot of headaches and a wobbly drive. 2. Worn out engine mounts. If your car shakes when you accelerate from a stop, this could point to engine mounts. These mounts hold your engine in place and are designed to absorb vibrations. But when they wear out, the engine starts moving around in ways it shouldn't, causing those vibrations to transfer right into your car's frame. You'll notice this more when accelerating or when you first start the engine. It's a pretty involved repair and might set you back a few $100, but it's essential for keeping everything stable under the hood. If left unchecked, it can even lead to damage to other parts, so don't ignore it. 3. Bad CV joints. Got a front-wheel drive car? If you hear a clicking noise when turning and feel shaking when accelerating, it could be your CV joints. These joints connect the transmission to the wheels, allowing for smooth rotation while your car turns and moves. But here's the thing. If the rubber boot that protects them tears, dirt and moisture get in, leading to faster wear. A failing CV joint will cause serious shaking, especially when you step on the gas. Replacing a CV joint isn't cheap, but ignoring it could leave you stranded, so it's worth checking if you hear that telltale clicking. 4. Misfiring cylinders. Now, if your car shudders every time you accelerate, but the engine's also running rough, it could be misfiring cylinders. This means one or more of your engine cylinders isn't firing properly. It's often due to worn spark plugs, bad ignition coils, or dirty fuel injectors. Misfires can lead to a loss of power and efficiency, and over time, they can even damage the catalytic converter. Replacing spark plugs is something you can do yourself if you're comfortable under the hood. Just make sure you use the correct type for your engine. Ignition coils are a bit more involved, but a mechanic can handle it easily. 5. Low transmission fluid. Feeling a shudder when you shift gears or accelerate? It could be low transmission fluid. Transmission fluid keeps the gears shifting smoothly by reducing friction. When it's low, the transmission can slip, causing those vibrations. Check your car's manual for the right way to measure the fluid level. If you find that it's low, you might also have a leak. Transmission leaks often show up as red or brownish spots under your car, so don't ignore those drips in your driveway. 6. Bent drive shaft or worn universal joints. For those of you with rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive cars, listen up. If the vibration gets worse as you speed up, it could be a drive shaft issue. The drive shaft transfers power from the transmission to the rear wheels, and if it's bent, you'll definitely feel it. Universal joints or U-joints are part of this system, allowing the drive shaft to flex as your suspension moves. When U-joints wear out, they can cause clunking noises and vibrations during acceleration. This one's not a DIY job. You'll need a mechanic to inspect and possibly replace the drive shaft or U-joints. 7. Clogged fuel injectors. If your car hesitates or shakes when you press the gas, you might be dealing with dirty or clogged fuel injectors. When injectors are clogged, they can't spray fuel evenly into the engine, causing uneven combustion and, you guessed it, vibrations. Start with a bottle of fuel injector cleaner. Sometimes that's all it takes. But if the issue persists, you might need to get the injectors professionally cleaned or replaced, especially if your car has high mileage. 8. Loose or missing lug nuts. Don't laugh, this happens more often than you'd think. If your car starts shaking after you've changed a tire, double check those lug nuts. If they aren't torqued properly, your wheel could be wobbling. Definitely not safe. Loose wheels can cause serious vibrations, and if left unchecked, could even come off while driving. So grab a torque wrench and make sure each nut is tightened to the proper specifications. It's a simple fix that can save you from a potential disaster. 9. Worn brake rotors. Even though this one's more common when braking, worn or warped brake rotors can cause vibrations that get worse with speed. If you feel a shake in the steering wheel when slowing down, it's likely your rotors. Warped rotors create uneven braking surfaces, which leads to those vibrations you feel through the pedal and steering wheel. If your rotors are warped, you might be able to get them resurfaced, but sometimes replacing them is the better option, especially if they're too thin. 10. Damaged suspension components. Last but not least, let's talk suspension. If any part of your suspension, like the shocks, struts, or control arms, are worn out, it can cause a bumpy ride, especially when accelerating. A damaged suspension can affect your car's handling and ride quality, making it feel like every bump is sending your car into a fit. If you've tried everything else and still feel those vibrations, it's time to get your suspension checked by a pro. It might cost a bit up front, but it's crucial for both safety and comfort. And that's it. 10 solid reasons why your car is shaking on acceleration, with a deep dive into each issue. If you found this video helpful, waiting to happen? Well, in the US, there are highways that make your daily commute feel like child's play. Some roads are infamous for their high accident rates, unpredictable weather conditions, or just their treacherous design. You think you're a skilled driver? Let's see how you'd handle these 10 deadliest roads in America. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, where we explore everything with wheels and a little bit of danger on the side. Today, we're diving into roads so risky, even the most confident drivers might want to think twice before tackling them. Whether it's icy highways, twisty mountain passes, or stretches where bad drivers roam, these roads have earned their dangerous reputations. So hit that subscribe button, buckle up, and let's get into it. Starting with a legend, the $1 Million Highway, US Route 550 in Colorado. They call it the $1 Million Highway for its breathtaking views, but many say it also refers to the $1 million risks you take driving it. This 25-mile stretch between Silverton and Ouray is notorious for its narrow lanes, steep cliffs, and get this, no guardrails. One wrong turn, and you're tumbling down the side of a mountain. To add to the thrill, this road can be a nightmare during winter when snow and ice make it even more treacherous. Avalanches and rock slides are common, making the drive a white knuckler for even the most seasoned travelers. Next, we've got Interstate 10 in Arizona. Interstate 10 cuts across the desert, but don't be fooled by the flat, seemingly harmless terrain. This highway is notorious for deadly head-on collisions, often caused by dust storms known as hablums. These sudden walls of dust reduce visibility to near zero in seconds, leaving drivers caught in dangerous pileups. On top of that, the high speeds and heavy truck traffic make it one of the deadliest highways in the state, with a history of fatal accidents. Up next is US Route 50 in Nevada, better known as the loneliest road in America. This nickname isn't just for dramatic effect. Stretching through desolate desert terrain, US Route 50 is extremely remote, long sections where you won't see another car, let alone a gas station. Break down here without supplies and you're in trouble. Extreme summer heat or freezing winter conditions can be deadly, and help is often hours away. For a road that offers little in terms of emergency services, it's easy to see how the loneliest road can turn dangerous fast. Now let's talk about the tail of the dragon, US Route 129, on the Tennessee-North Carolina border. This road is legendary among motorcyclists and sports car enthusiasts for its 318 curves over just 11 miles. The sharp hairpin turns and steep drop-offs leave no room for error. The road's isolation means rescue can take a while, and frequent accidents, ranging from crashes to rollovers, are a sad reality here. The Tree of Shame, located at a nearby resort, is decorated with pieces of wrecked motorcycles as a memorial to those who have underestimated this beast of a road. California's Highway 1, also known as the Pacific Coast Highway, is up next. With its stunning cliffside views of the Pacific Ocean, it's easy to get distracted. But Highway 1 also ranks as one of the deadliest roads in the U.S. for its narrow, winding lanes that cling to the cliffs with few guardrails. The frequent fog and landslides make the road even riskier, especially for those unfamiliar with its dangerous curves. Despite its beauty, the PCH demands complete focus behind the wheel. Heading to the Sunshine State, Interstate 95 in Florida is our next dangerous stretch. I-95, particularly the section between Miami and Jacksonville, is one of the busiest and most accident-prone highways in America. It's notorious for aggressive drivers, high speeds, and heavy congestion. During Florida's frequent summer rainstorms, the road becomes especially treacherous, with slick conditions leading to spinouts and pileups. In fact, parts of I-95 have consistently ranked among the deadliest stretches of highway in the U.S. for fatalities per mile. Let's talk about Texas' US Route 285, ominously nicknamed Death Highway. Stretching through the Permian Basin, this road sees constant traffic from oilfield workers and massive trucks. The combination of heavy vehicle loads, fatigued drivers, and high speeds leads to frequent, often deadly accidents. Head-on collisions are a common cause of fatalities here, with drivers drifting across lanes after long hours on the road. Locals know to treat US 285 with caution. This highway doesn't forgive mistakes. Over to Colorado again, we've got Interstate 70 through the Rockies. I-70 is a scenic route through the Rocky Mountains, but it can quickly turn deadly in winter. Snow, ice, and sudden weather changes turn this interstate into a slick nightmare. With its steep inclines and heavy semi-truck traffic, it's no surprise that multi-car pileups and crashes are common, especially during snowstorms. Avalanches are another constant threat, as this interstate cuts through some of the most mountainous terrain in the U.S. Now let's hit Interstate 80 in Wyoming. This long, mostly straight highway may not seem dangerous at first glance, but don't be fooled. I-80 is infamous for brutal crosswinds and black ice during Wyoming's harsh winters. The wind can be so strong, it's been known to flip over semi-trucks. In bad weather, the highway can turn into a deadly mix of ice and blowing snow, causing major pileups and dangerous conditions for any drivers brave enough to stay on the road. Finally, we've got US Route 2 in Montana. Running along the northern edge of the state, Route 2 is one of the most isolated roads in the U.S. It stretches through miles of open rural land where help is often hours away. High speeds and a lack of emergency services make accidents out here especially deadly. In winter, snow and ice are major hazards, while wildlife like deer can dart into the road without warning, adding to the danger. So there you have it, 10 of the deadliest roads in America, each with its own brand of danger. Have you driven on any of these? If you have, or if you're showdown. Today, we're talking about the fastest, most insane production cars to ever conquer the Nürburgring, aka the Green Hell. This list is packed with mind-blowing machines, including one that just smashed its own world record. So buckle up, hit that like button, and stay tuned because you're about to witness some straight-up speed history. Oh, and if you're here for those generic, boring car lists, this ain't it. This is where precision meets power, where records fall, and where we push the limits of what's possible. So hit that subscribe button and join the fastest growing car community on YouTube before you miss out on the next wild ride. We're kicking things off with the undisputed king of the ring, the Mercedes-AMG one. This beast just ripped through the ring in 6 minutes, 29 seconds. That's right, it broke its own record from 2022. This baby is straight out of Formula One, literally. A 1.6-liter V6 turbocharged hybrid plus 4 electric motors. Can we even call this thing a car anymore? It's like racing a jet with wheels. And if you're thinking, what's a V6 doing in the fastest car on the planet? Remember, it's not the size of the engine, it's how you use it. Next up, one of the legends, the Porsche 911 GT2 RS with the Manthe Performance Kit. Porsche never sleeps when it comes to speed, and this one hit 638, 835 back in 2021. The aero package alone looks like it was designed to part the Red Sea. And let's not forget that flat 6 engine roaring like it's angry at the world. But honestly, with this kind of speed, you could probably order a pizza at the start of the lap and pick it up at the finish line, hot and fresh. Now, here's another Porsche flexing on the ring, the 911 GT3 RS with a crazy 644 time. This one's for the purists, a naturally aspirated beast with handling so precise, it feels like it's reading your mind. Porsche basically said, why go turbo when you can make pure engineering perfection? Every corner this car takes feels like it's on rails. And trust me, this one's all about finesse, baby. Let's be real, if you're late to work in this thing, it's probably because you took the long way just for fun. The Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. This raging bull came out swinging with a 44.97 lap back in 2018. V12 power at its finest. And let's be honest, half the reason anyone wants this car is to hear that V12 scream like a banshee as it hits the high RPMs. You don't drive an Aventador to be subtle. This is the car you take when you want your neighbors to know you're rich and loud. And then we've got the Mercedes-AMG GT Black Series, clocking in at 643, 616. This one is all business, no frills. Think of it as the evil twin of the GT lineup, built for the track, born to break records, and it doesn't care who gets left in the dust. This is the kind of car you don't bring to a street race. You bring it to win one. Now, for all you electric heads, we've got something special. Meet the Rimac Nevera, fastest production EV on the planet, hitting the ring in 705. And get this, it's not just fast, it's silent. Well, mostly. I mean, sure, it's got 1,914 horsepower, but this thing glides through the air like a ninja. You won't hear it coming, but you'll definitely see it leaving. It's like getting passed by a stealth bomber, but with Bluetooth. And there you have it, the top 6 speed demons at the Nürburgring. Each one breaking records, pushing limits, and making us all wish we could take them for a spin, or 2, or 10. Now here's the deal. If you love these cars as much as I do, smash that subscribe button. I mean, come on, you're already this deep into the video. You don't want to miss out on more epic content like this, right? Plus, subscribing is like adding a few extra horsepower to your day. Stay tuned, stay fast, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. On Le Mans, they banned it. Yeah, you heard that right. The Mazda 787B is the only rotary-powered car to ever win the world's toughest endurance race, and they made sure it stayed that way. Why? What made this beast so legendary that it was deemed too dangerous to come back? Stick around, because this is the insane story of a car that rewrote the rules at Le Mans. Imagine pulling up to the biggest race in the world with a car that doesn't sound like anything else on the track, doesn't move like anything else, and then obliterates the competition. Just when you're ready to come back and do it all over again, the rulebook says, nope, you're too good. Banned. Why? What did Mazda do to make Le Mans literally rewrite the rules after their historic victory in 1991? Trust me, this story is about more than speed. It's about changing the game. Let's roll back to 1991. Le Mans, the Super Bowl of endurance racing. 24 hours of non-stop driving where cars are pushed to their absolute limits. And here comes Mazda with their 787B, powered by something no one else was using, a rotary engine. Now, most cars run on piston engines, you know, your classic vroom vroom, but Mazda, they showed up with a 4-rotor Wankel engine, the R26B. Here's why that's wild. The rotary engine is way lighter, simpler, and it revs insanely high, up to 9,000 revolutions per minute. It produced a screeching 700 horsepower and could still keep up with the bigger, heavier piston engine cars. The 787B was like an underdog that came out swinging. You hear that? That's the sound of 24 hours of relentless high-speed domination. Mazda didn't just finish, they took the win by 2 whole laps, and just when they were gearing up for a return in '92, they hit a wall, a rule change, courtesy of the FIA. And here's where it gets really interesting. After Mazda's win, the FIA, which governs Le Mans, announced a major rule shakeup. They decided that starting in 1992, the top category, Group C, would only allow 3.5-liter piston engines, the same type of engines being used in Formula One at the time. In other words, no more rotary engines. Look, you don't ban something just because it sounds cool, right? But this wasn't just about noise. This was a huge shift towards aligning with more conventional engines and attracting big manufacturers like Peugeot, Mercedes-Benz, and Toyota. Mazda's rotary didn't fit that new vision. The rotary engine gave Mazda an edge. It was lighter, smaller, and could rev higher, meaning fewer pit stops and a more reliable engine over 24 hours. But there was a downside: fuel consumption. That 787B was a beast, but it also guzzled fuel like there was no tomorrow. And endurance racing was starting to shift toward more fuel-efficient, eco-friendly technology. Here's where the Mazda story gets deeper. The rotary engine was a genius piece of engineering, but it had its flaws. The Wankel engine is simpler than traditional piston engines, fewer moving parts, no valves, and it's smaller. This made it great for weight reduction and higher RPMs, but the downsides? Rotary engines burn a lot of fuel and oil, like a lot. They're also known for being less efficient at turning fuel into usable power. Mazda's engineers pushed the limits to make it reliable, but the reality was, it wasn't the most efficient engine out there. Endurance racing was starting to focus on sustainability, less fuel, fewer pit stops, and Mazda's rotary? It was, let's just say, not the greenest car on the track. So while Mazda fans might argue that the rotary was banned because it was too dominant, the truth is, the FIA and ACO wanted a level playing field with engines that could be used in both racing and road cars. Rotary engines? Yeah, cool in concept, but not practical for your average driver. And definitely not what the sport wanted to showcase in the new era of Le Mans. And before you ask, no, Mazda didn't slip a rotary engine into your mom's minivan, though wouldn't that have been fun? But here's the real kicker. Just because they banned the rotary from racing doesn't mean the 787B was forgotten. Today, it's a legend. Mazda's victory wasn't just a win, it was a statement. This car still gets paraded around at events, and fans, they still freak out when they hear that distinct rotary scream. The Mazda 787B wasn't just another race car, it was an icon, a symbol of how thinking outside the box can lead to historic victories. And while the rotary engine may never race at Le Mans again, its legacy will never be forgotten. And hey, if you're into stories like this, cars that inspired aerodynamics and cutting-edge tech, this car is taking the Mustang legacy to a whole new level. Let's jump right in. First off, the Mustang has been an American icon since 1964, but the 2025 Mustang GTD is a huge leap forward. Ford didn't just tweak the regular Mustang GT, they practically rebuilt it from the ground up with technology from their GT3 racing program. The result? A Mustang that's ready to take on the best performance cars in the world. It's got the DNA of a race car, but with street legal status. This car is designed to dominate both the racetrack and the open road. Now let's talk about the design. The GTD's exterior is more than just aggressive looks. Everything about this car is built for aerodynamic efficiency and downforce. From the carbon fiber front splitter to the massive rear wing, these parts aren't just for show. They're designed to keep the car stable at high speeds, and with carbon fiber body panels, it's lighter and more durable than ever. Ford also equipped the GTD with active aerodynamics. This means the car adjusts on the fly to optimize downforce and drag. Whether you're hitting a straightaway or tackling a corner, it sits lower and wider than the standard Mustang GT, giving it that aggressive stance that screams track ready. Alright, here's the part we've all been waiting for. What's under the hood? The 2025 Mustang GTD is powered by a 5.2-liter supercharged V8 that cranks out an unbelievable 800 horsepower and over 600 pounds-feet of torque. That's right, 800 horsepower. Ford took this engine straight from its GT3 race car program, and the results are insane. The GTD has a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, and the power goes to the rear wheels via a rear-mounted transaxle. Why is that important? Well, the transaxle helps give this car a 50-50 its weight distribution, which is crucial for balance and handling, especially on tight corners. And speaking of corners, with rear-wheel steering, this thing handles like it's on rails. Whether you're on a track or a winding back road, the GTD gives you incredible agility. With all that power, you need some serious stopping power too, right? Ford didn't hold back. They equipped the GTD with carbon ceramic brakes. These brakes are built to withstand extreme heat, which means they won't fade even after repeated hard braking, making them perfect for track days. But that's not all. The GTD also comes with an active suspension system that adjusts in real time based on your driving conditions. When you're taking corners at high speed, the suspension stiffens up to keep the car stable and reduce body roll. And for everyday driving, it softens up to give you a smooth, comfortable ride. Inside the GTD, Ford made sure you're not just getting race-ready performance, but also modern luxury and tech. The Recaro racing seats keep you securely in place, especially when you're taking tight corners at speed. They're designed for performance, but also comfortable enough for long drives. The fully digital dashboard is another highlight. You can customize it to show you real-time performance data, whether it's lap times, G-forces, or even throttle response. And don't forget the different driving modes. You can switch between comfort, track, and race modes, tweaking the suspension, throttle, and steering feel to match your driving style. So what's it like to drive the 2025 Mustang GTD? In a word, exhilarating. The combination of 800 horsepower, active suspension, and rear-wheel steering makes it feel like a full-blown race car. The dual-clutch transmission shifts faster than you can blink, giving you a super responsive driving experience. And then there's the handling. Thanks to the 50/50ths weight distribution and active aerodynamics, the car feels incredibly balanced. You can push it hard into corners and it stays planted. Whether you're on the track or just enjoying a spirited drive on back roads, the GTD is an absolute thrill to drive. Now let's talk about pricing. The 2025 Mustang GTD starts at around $300,000, which puts it in the same league as the Porsche 911 GT3 and the Chevy Corvette Z06. But with 800 horsepower, cutting-edge tech, and race car DNA, this Mustang is truly in a class of its own. Ford has built something special here, a muscle car that can go toe-to-toe with some of the best performance cars in the world. In conclusion, the 2025 Mustang GTD is more than just a Mustang. It's a statement that American muscle cars are here to stay and can compete with the best of the best. If you're looking for a car that blends raw power, precision engineering, and track-ready performance, the GTD might just be the ultimate Mustang. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the 2025 Ford Mustang GTD. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more car reviews and automotive content. Let me know in the comments. Is the GTD the ultimate Mustang? See you next time.